Greetings, my scattered brothers and sisters in the Lord. Trust you know the Lord is with you wherever you find yourself scattered today, and that you know that His presence with you is more than enough for whatever you might face today. I'm scattered. We're scattered in central Kansas between Pratt and Hutchinson on our way to Kansas City for Rebecca's ordination. Been good travels so far, and probably guzzled way too much Dr. Pepper. We're in Gospel Mark chapter 4, those first 20 verses we talked about the other day in terms of the parable of the sower. And Jesus tells the parable of the sower to lots of people who are gathered around him. He's actually sitting in a boat as the disciples and followers and crowds are gathered. And then at the end, he explains to his disciples the parable. They came to him with questions about it. What we're going to focus on is that conversation of Jesus and the disciples and those who were kind of with the disciples following Jesus after the parable of the sower, but before Jesus explains the parable. And so we read that the disciples and those who were with him came to Jesus while he was kind of alone, kind of a break from the crowd, and they questioned him about the parables. And Jesus' response is that to them, the mystery of the kingdom of God is given. But to those on the outside, it's all coming in parables, and Jesus is speaking to them in parables. And then Jesus makes the statement, lest they see with their eyes and comprehend or understand, and lest they hear with their ears and understand. And then they would turn and be forgiven. And so there's a lot to unpack. It may take us a couple sessions to actually do it. But it's interesting that Jesus kind of divides them up in terms of the insiders and the outsiders. To those on the outside, everything just comes as a parable, kind of a riddle that it's difficult to figure out. But to those on the inside, the kingdom of God, the mystery of the kingdom of God, or the secret of the kingdom of God, is given to them. Now, a couple more things with this that we need to unpack. It's very interesting that if you look at this conversation in the Gospel of Matthew or the Gospel of Luke, Jesus' response is the secrets or the mysteries of the kingdom of God is given to you. But in Mark, it's singular. It's the mystery of the kingdom of God is given to you, or the secret of the kingdom of God is given to you. For Mark, there's basically one mystery. There's basically one secret to the kingdom of God, and that is that Jesus is the king, and that the kingdom comes through Jesus. And this is the big question all through the first half of Mark, is who is Jesus? And then the middle section of Mark, once we kind of get the answer that Jesus is the Christ, the middle section focuses on how Jesus will bring the kingdom. He's going to bring it through his suffering, bring it through his cross. And so that's the mystery, that's the secret in the Gospel of Mark, is that the kingdom of God, God's future, God's will, God's reign, God's victory, that's coming through, of all people, through Jesus, and of all ways, through his cross, through his suffering. And so to those on the outside, it makes no sense. But to those on the inside, those who Jesus has called, those who are following Jesus, this is revealed to them. They don't figure it out for themselves, but it's revealed to them. And that brings me, I think, to the other main point that I want to try to make today, is that people don't figure this out. People don't figure out Jesus. People don't figure out the kingdom of God. It's given to them. And so there's revelation taking place in terms of Jesus revealing to his disciples in this kind of slow journey who he is. Jesus revealing to followers who he is. And so they don't simply get it on their own. They just can't calculate it out. No, it's given. It's revealed. And I think that's still true today. that for all of us who follow Jesus, it's not really like we calculated it out, that we figured it out, so much as it is that it was revealed to us, that the Spirit revealed it to us. Jesus revealed himself to us, and through the self-revelation of Jesus, kind of who he is and what he's about, all of a sudden we begin to kind of get it. We begin to get him and realize that God's rule, God's future, God's victory, it actually comes through Jesus and his authority, and we surrender. But to those on the outside, it's still very much a puzzle, and it's a parable, so to speak, in terms of a riddle that they can hear it and they can see it, but it simply makes no sense. We may talk more about that on the next session, but I think we've gone far enough into it today, and so just want to emphasize that the mystery of the kingdom of God, God's future, God's rule, is Jesus. God's kingdom comes through Jesus, through his suffering, through his cross, and it's revealed to us. We don't figure it out. We simply receive it. Jesus is the one who reveals himself to us. And so give thanks that he's called you, that he's chosen you, that he's revealed this mystery to you. God bless. Have a great day. I'm heading to Kansas City. We're going to get there tonight.